Welcome to our podcast. This is Friends on Fire.
I'm Mike. I'm a lifelong devotee of financial independence. I even wrote a book about it.
And I'm Maggie, a newer convert, but just as passionate, especially on the intersection of minimalism and financial independence.
We're one and the same.
We are two like-minded friends who believe that talking about money with your friends and family opens the door to financial well-being.
The Friends on Fire podcast is about dispelling myths, building financial acumen, and sharing your financial independence journey with the people you care about.
This is Friends on Fire. Hey, Maggie.
Hey, Mike.
How's it going?
I'm doing okay.
So this is a very special episode. We are at the beautiful...
Live? Just kidding.
We're not live. We're recording this and we'll air it a little bit later. But we are at the beautiful Crown Plaza Asheville Hotel. It's a special Friends on Fire vacation episode.
Mm-hmm.
You got to sound more enthusiastic than that.
Oh, sorry. Well, you know, I don't consider when I'm traveling with my kids, I call it a family vacation because it's a different vibe. And I've been in the car for, I feel like 20 hours over the past 2 days. So it doesn't feel like a vacation yet.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I hope you are at least having a pretty good time.
So we're having a fun time. We're getting some good family time in. We've spent a lot of time in the car and it's just been like, so far it's been just a little stressful, but you know, I'm looking forward to relaxing a bit here at the lovely Crown Plaza, Asheville.
It's
There's
exciting.
way too many people here.
It's exciting that we are recording in a different space other than our offices.
That is exciting. You're
right.
And
while we could be at the pool or in the lobby recording an episode, we are recording from separate rooms. And
because you won't come near me.
That's right. But we will get
it's like
into that.
We're so close, but we're so far away still.
Right. And we did see each other earlier today. So it's not like we are just ships passing in the night. But we decided
about
not
12 feet apart.
Yes, but we decided not to record in the same proximity. But we will get to that later in the show. This is going to be much more of a chit-chatty type storytelling, feedback reading type episode.
Do you know what Chit-Chat is, Mike?
No, I feel like you're gonna give me a little burn here.
No, not at all. It wasn't a burn. I named this episode COVID, Cars, and Chit-Chat, but I felt like the Chit-Chat part was scaring you because you were like, oh my gosh, it's going to be like a whole hour of Maggie just, talking randomly about everything. Stream of consciousness on overdrive. Can't wait. Plus I've had a beer.
Yes.
And that really sort of lights it all up.
I have a constant fear of you rambling for over an hour on these episodes, so this is nothing new for me.
So speaking of that, aside from the mix of topics today, we thought we would share some recent feedback we've been getting. Feedback, and then we'll go into some listener comments and tips and questions. But the feedback reminded me of what you were just saying, because one of the iTunes review mentioned that people like my rambling. It's a big hit. Well, at least a person likes it.
Yeah. People plural. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
People as in one person, and who knows? It could have been like my mom who left this review.
Right.
So I thought it would be fun to read a few recent reviews. I went on to iTunes. I sometimes just like to go check and see if there's been any new reviews. And I had this idea recently, and I got this idea from somebody else, and I can't think who it was, to have my kids read our reviews, because I just thought it would be sort of funny to hear it in like a little kid voice. And the other day I tried to get one of them to read them, and they just I thought they would think it was fun. They wanted nothing to do with it. They acted like it was work, and I was asking them to do school or something, read a book or something. I don't know what, but they just, the response I got was sort of so rude and hell no, you're crazy, mom, that I just kind of gave up and was like, okay, well, I thought it was a great idea, but if you're not willing to read these reviews, so I need to bribe them or convince them that I need to remind them who's in charge around here is what I need to do.
Or maybe they're waiting to be invited onto a more popular podcast. They're just Friends on Fire, not worth my time right now.
Could be that they're holding out. They do always walk up to my office and point to the microphone and pretend that they're on the podcast. So I thought they would be really excited to, get a starring, reoccurring role of reading our reviews every now and then. Okay, anyways, let me get to it. You're going to have to hear it in my voice instead of a little kid's voice. Okay, a few recent reviews. I'm really enjoying the show and appreciate the financial interviews so far. Love the content. So that's from Tbutter47. I love these names. Thanks. Next one. Love Maggie's ramblings and Mike calling her out. But in all reality, another great FI podcast that I always look forward to listening to. Love that they are local to me. That's from Techie13.
I like that one.
Then we had 50 pods in. They're finding their sea legs. Topics are broader, more insightful. Thrilled to watch this flourish.
Ooh.
That's from Swaney227. I'm telling you, I love the handles. Okay, this is a good one. I absolutely love the entire premise behind this podcast, trying to get friends to talk about money. I've never understood why talking about money is so taboo. I really like the open approach and how they make talking about money normalized. That's from Amber Leiji. Love it. I love her comment about just the importance of talking with your friends about money, how it's sometimes taboo. And I love the word normalize. So I think we're normalizing talking about money, Mike.
Great. Thank you for that feedback.
Okay, next one. Listening feels like we're all just hanging out and chatting about finances. I love the simplicity and casual approach. It all feels very comfortable, and I've learned so much about FIRE just by listening. I didn't even know what FIRE meant before this podcast. That's from Haley B. Dubs. And then last one, funny and informative. Love listening to Maggie and Mike. They give great advice all while being funny. They make it fun to learn about finances. And that's by Fun Size Omi.
I like that handle.
That's a fun. I like that handle too. So thank you to everyone. I love the funny and informative. I think they were talking about me that was funny, but I don't know.
I'm the informative one. I'm cool with that.
Maybe I misread that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm funny and you're informative. What a great duo, you know?
Right.
Love it.
Yeah, alone we would host terrible podcasts, but together we have a fairly good one.
Yeah. Alone we're terrible. Together we're average.
Right. We should put that on a t-shirt.
I like it. That should be like a tagline.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for all the awesome reviews. Just as a reminder, we always love to receive reviews. So if you are finding value in this podcast, you are welcome to leave us a review on iTunes, and it really helps others to find out about the podcast.
So Maggie, I think we've also gotten a few recent text messages. Do you think we can read some of those as well?
We have, yeah. And they came in as text. So I will read those since I'm the one with the Google Voice account here. So let me read the first one. We've got a few that we're going to go through. Hi, friends on fire. I'd like to submit an idea and request as future topics. I'm at episode 35, desperately trying to get current, so apologies if these have been covered. Number 1, earning gift cards / money for everyday purchases or taking surveys. Rakuten, Fetch, earning money from surveys like product report card, e-rewards. I never pay for anything on Amazon. Number 2, residual income ideas. I have zero interest in being a landlord, but this article intrigued me, especially the coffee farms, and they give a link to an article, which we can talk about. Thanks, Dina.
So these are good. I think there's certainly a lot of opportunity to earning cash back and gift cards through various things, and we can touch on a few of those.
Yeah, we're both big fans of Ebates, which is now called Rakuten, right? Yeah. I use that a lot. Yeah. It's a great service.
Absolutely. And we can get into the double, triple, and quadruple dip opportunities, which I will gladly explain to everybody. And then the residual income ideas, I think that's another great episode. I think it's also referred to as passive income, and we can certainly talk about some ideas to how to start generating those. Yeah,
so I think another thing that's just worth adding, first off, thanks for the feedback. Definitely something we've talked about doing. Somebody else in our Facebook group recently suggested we do a topic on side hustles and kind of other ways to make money. So the same spirit of what you're talking about here, Dina. But the one thing I would say, just to kind of share a little bit of insight into Mike and I's current lives or lifestyles, is we both work fairly demanding full-time jobs and we have young kids. And so we really just don't have a lot of time at this point in our lives for side hustles. We both have some rental properties. But outside of that, we do some of these basic things like travel hacking and Rakuten, which I still call Ebates because that's what it was called for 20 years. And, a couple of things here and there, but I wouldn't say we spend a lot of time researching or going out of our way for other additional residual income or side hustles. And it's just because of the stage we're at in our lives and we're making good money at our jobs. So we kind of focus, I think it's a fair statement for both of us, Mike. We focus more on spending less and keeping the money we earn.
I think it depends on your definition of side hustle. So I have rental properties. I have now book sales, which is a side hustle, passive income.
You making a lot off those book sales?
Not exactly, but
That wasn't like a knock. I was genuinely curious.
I make a reasonable amount every month. I mean, like enough to go out to dinner on.
Nice.
And then I'm also like an active trader in the market, which I would consider a side hustle. I do pretty well. So
that's true.
Yeah, speak for yourself, Maggie. I'm very busy on side hustles.
And my husband and I have a rental property, and we do it all ourselves. So you can call that a side
Dina,
hustle.
thank you for the feedback.
You're right.
I will provide some insight. I will be the informative one. Maggie will be the fun one, and we will talk about side hustles.
But yeah, great idea. We will do a future episode on this because there are so many different things you can do in this area, and I think it's worth covering many of them. So we'll definitely do a future show on this. Thank you for the suggestion. So another text message comment we got, Mike, just came in tonight, actually. Here it is. Hello, friends. I really enjoy the podcast and I'm trying to get caught up, but wanted to address something I heard on the tax episode. It sounded like Mike actually pays TurboTax to submit his state taxes. If this is true, this is wrong, period. I like how specific that statement is. You are wrong, Mike.
Okay.
Assuming you have access to a printer, which is questionable. I don't really have access to a printer. But anyways, assuming you have access to a printer, envelope, and a stamp, you should mail in your state taxes for free. Unless Georgia is different than North Carolina, or Mike is trying to be the first one to submit his taxes to earn some nerdy badge of honor, which, hey man, totally could be the case. Hope this helps get you $30-ish closer to your 2021 budget goal. Now, first off, Mike, slow your roll before you respond to that. Take a deep breath and then let me know your thoughts.
First of all, I'm sort of offended, but also impressed by how hot this guy is coming in on his feedback for me.
I am too.
No, bring it on. I'm not like an expert on everything, and I have certainly areas of opportunity to learn. Let me just Google this real quick.
I think he might be right though, because you do pay a fee for e-filing through those tools sometimes. And I do think there's sometimes a freer version. I sometimes will pay like $20 or $30 just for the convenience, because quite honestly, the process of printing and putting a stamp, like that's a lot of work for me. So if I can hit a button, I'll pay $20, $30 in this case.
All right. So a quick search on Google would say that this listener is right. And so here's my commitment. I will, next time I file taxes, see if I can't stop this automatic filing part, because like you click through and it's part of like the exit flow as you file your federal taxes, and see if I can't save the $30. So thank you very much for the feedback.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a great tip. So this person did not leave their name, but thank you for sharing. And last comment, and I'm not going to read the full email in great detail, but we had recent layoffs at our company. And somebody that we work, which is very sad and unfortunate, but as we've mentioned, we work in the travel industry and it is a reality. So our company in many ways is doing better than some of our competitors, but we've still, are not immune to the reality of what's happening. So we had a question from one of our coworkers who was laid off, and they were asking about their 401k when you leave a company and what happens to it and, what you do with it. So I thought this was a really great question. It was just worth kind of quickly covering because we already answered their question directly, but it's probably a common question that many people could have. So back to the fun and informative, take it away on the answer. Actually, Mike, in fairness, I answered their question accurately, but then I copied in Mike and was like, I don't know, keep me honest. I could be wrong.
Right. You wanted somebody to check your work.
Yeah, exactly.
So as it relates to your 401k, you can simply just keep it with the company that administers your 401k today. They're not going to force you to take the money out. And so if you have other accounts with Vanguard and your employer 401k is with Vanguard, you can keep it there if you want. You can also roll it into another 401k. So you just keep it with the existing provider. When you start a new job, you roll it to your new provider and then you have one account.
So you basically wait until you start a new job, get a new 401k, and then you merge them essentially.
Yeah. The other thing you can do, which gives you more flexibility, is roll it into an IRA, which would be a self-directed retirement account. And so you roll it pre-tax, so you don't pay taxes on it. If you were to just take it out and then put it into account, you would pay taxes on it as income. Big mistake.
That's like the number one thing you do not want to do.
You do not want to do it.
It's not an excuse for you to then like empty your 401k. It's
Right.
a huge it's a terrible idea on many fronts, unless you were in like an extreme financial emergency.
Right.
You would never want to do that.
If the option doesn't start with roll, then don't pursue it. You have to roll it into another account. So you can roll it into an IRA. And so I've done this a number of times with Charles Schwab. So I actually call Schwab, and they actually have a form online that you can print out and send in. You give your account number. So if your 401k is coming from Fidelity, you give them your Fidelity account information, the amount of money in it, and they go to Fidelity and say, here's the authorization. Please roll it into this Schwab account. And they do it for you. It's super simple. And so I have a IRA, which has now 3 company 401ks that have been rolled into it, and I manage the investments myself. It gives you a little more flexibility if you feel comfortable with that, instead of being limited to what's available by your 401k administrator.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Hopefully people found that helpful. The other thing we would say is, if there's any people at our company that were impacted by these layoffs, or really at any company that's going through what is a very difficult stage in your life with a layoff or a furlough, and you have specific questions, we're always happy to answer them. So you're welcome to text them into us. You can leave a voicemail. You can DM us on Instagram, whatever you would like. And we're happy to try to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's switch gears from our first topic, which for those that might have thought that was all rambling, was we just want to kind of share some reviews and answer some recent listener comments and questions. And now we're going to jump back to why we are both in the same city in Asheville right now on a pseudo Friends on Fire vacation where we're not actually interacting with each other's families in any way.
So this was a pleasant surprise because I was texting you and I told you I wasn't going to be able to do any editing over the weekend because I was heading to Asheville the next day.
Because I like to wait till Sunday night to provide like any final edits for our Monday episodes to Mike.
Right. At like 9:55. She's like, hey,
usually
can you squeeze this in before you go to bed?
12 minutes before his bedtime, I like to hit him up. I'm a little bit of a night owl and procrastinator.
So I was giving you quite a bit of warning to tell you. A
courtesy heads up.
Right.
Yeah. And you were like, I'm going to be in Asheville this weekend. And I was like, oh, no shit. I'm going to be in Asheville this weekend. But I hadn't told Mike because I was afraid to tell him why I was going to be in Asheville. Afraid's the wrong word. I just was like putting some distance between the news of letting you know that I was driving to West Virginia to buy a car. And on our way back, we were going to make a road trip out of it. On our way back, we were going to stop in Asheville for a couple of days. Because we love Asheville and it was on the way. You
didn't want me to plant a seed of doubt that would either make you change your mind or make you feel a little bit guilty about buying the car, which is fair.
Exactly. That's, just to be fair, incredibly true. Incredibly true.
And I'm okay with that. Yeah. We don't have to, we are all about friends talking about money. We don't have to talk about everything. And we already went into great detail about it.
Yeah, we don't have to agree on everything. I think, like we said on the cars on number 50 which by the way, was one of our like most popular episodes. We got so many comments from people. I think people just loved hearing us like hash out both sides of a big financial decision. Mm-hmm. But we got so many different comments from people. And I think you're right. Like for me, it was an enjoyable discussion to hear both sides. It doesn't mean I want to keep hearing it from you every time I'm like, like I was telling him I'm going to go buy this car and he's like, how much, what year, how many miles? And I'm like, oh gosh. But you were successful. And when I got off that episode with you, I 100% for the first time since having this thought to buy this car was like, I will only buy a used car. I was like, look, I'm going to compromise. I'm not going to be completely irresponsible on this. I'm just going to be a little bit irresponsible.
Well,
if I want to phrase it that way.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Yeah. You're successful.
Yeah.
Thank you, I guess.
So we found out you were going to be in Asheville as well. And
wait, can we go back to the car real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Because people are dying to know. Just to clarify, I decided to buy a used car, but this particular car you couldn't convince me not to get the Subaru, Mike. So I was like, I'm going to get the Subaru. I really want it. I thought through it. I know that I'm paying a premium for it, blah, blah, blah. I'm okay with it though. And the only one I could find that had, I'm like, if I'm going to buy this, I want to get one that's the color I want with the features I want. Moonroof, of course. And the only one I could find was in Maine, the state Maine, really, really, really far away from Atlanta, and West Virginia. And I was like, West Virginia is only 8 hours. This will be fun. So we rented a car and drove up to West Virginia, which was actually super cheap. It was not that expensive to rent a car for a day and then, drive it across a bunch of states. And then we got the car in West Virginia. It was like pretty simple, seamless process. Returned the car to Hertz up there, got the car. On the way, stopped in Asheville for a couple of days because we love Asheville.
And when we found out that we were going to be there together, you switched your hotels. We were going to stay at the same hotel.
I was going to stay at a different hotel. Yep, I switched my hotel.
But on the way,
I forgot.
You decided to drop some additional news. So I was super excited. Like, our kids like hanging out. We were going to play all weekend.
Let's just be clear. Your kids love me. I think they might like me more than my kids. Maybe they like
I'm
my
sure
kids
that's
too.
true. Do your kids like my kids?
I think they do. I think sometimes they don't love younger kids as much, but I think they like them.
Yeah, my kids like your kids, and they really
younger
like you.
Kids always look up to bigger kids, just a little bit bigger.
So I was really looking forward to our Friends on Fire family vacation together.
So on the way up there, I'm not sure if I've shared this on any previous episodes, but we had a little bit of a COVID scare. We're a blended family. My husband's ex-wife's husband, I don't even know how to describe it. My stepchildren's stepfather and siblings all were diagnosed with COVID, tested positive like weeks ago. And then my husband had some symptoms, some unusual symptoms, but it's a long story. The kids all tested negative, but they all tested positive for strep. So then the doctor thought my husband just had strep, and that's kind of what they chalked it up to. Didn't go away when he took antibiotics. So after a while, his doctor was like, oh, you might actually have COVID. And this was like 2 weeks ago. And then he got tested. It took him a couple days to get tested. It was just like everything takes some time. Like they thought he had strep first from all these symptoms. Then he finally got tested multiple days later. Then a week and a day later, he finally got his test results. And that was on our way to West Virginia. We're like halfway to West Virginia, and he gets a call from his doctor saying, oh, your test was positive, but good news, you've passed your quarantine period. So you're fine to not quarantine because of the length of time it had been since he had symptoms onset and all of that, which nobody really knows. Everybody's kind of trying their best there's different guidelines from the CDC. Every doctor I talk to says something slightly different. Anyways, we found out we had COVID. I texted like everybody I know just out of respect and had been around to let them know. Most of like my close friends already knew that we thought we might, and we had been kind of, staying close to home and not doing anything. And so Mike immediately, I was like, look, I'm not offended. Like, we don't need to hang out. And he was like, good, we are not hanging out.
And that's
how
why
the conversation went.
We are recording in separate hotel rooms right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But we did get to spend a little bit of time outside. We had quite a bit of distance between us.
Yeah, we had a solid 9-10 feet
yeah.
of distance, and we were in an outdoor setting very far away. But can I just share the highlight of my night when we were hanging out like 10 feet away?
Sure.
Go Blue! It was this dude. First off, there's so many people that make me nervous right now. Like, there were too many people not, like, inside the hotel, they require masks. Our whole company does, and it's a great policy. And people were respecting it. But, like, outside, there were too many people, like, hanging out close together, not wearing masks. And it just makes me nervous. And I see a lot of it. I'm just like, why can't everybody just put a mask on and, like, practice some social distancing? It would really help what's going on right now in the world. And so we're like off in a very private outdoor corner area, very far away from each other, like noticeably far away from each other in terms of how we're sitting. Like, it's very clear that we are like extra social distancing. And it's just me and my husband and Mike. And this dude like walks up, makes a beeline to Mike. Mike's wearing a Michigan lacrosse shirt on. And this dude walks up. Like big old dude.
He walks around the table and all of the chairs because the chairs are like 3 feet out from the table. And so he walks around all of this stuff and is approaching me to give me a fist bump. And I have to like put my hand out. Yeah. And I have to I have to tell him to stop. And he was like genuinely surprised that like during a pandemic, I didn't want to like touch a stranger. That seemed to hurt his feelings.
Slow motion of him saying "Go Blue." He looked like he was like a few beers in too, like coming in for a fist bump, getting way too close to my husband, beelining it for Mike. I'm like watching Mike's face in slow mo, and I don't know what to say, and I'm just like, dude, huge COVID situation happening here. Like, I'm pointing to us as if we all have COVID, which is kind of true. And I was just trying to get him out of there. And he's just like, and Mike's at the same time as I'm saying, we have COVID. He's like, yeah, no. I think you just said like no to him.
I told him to stop. I was like,
Yeah,
I just stop.
Yeah, stop. And he sort of like stops, backs up, like kind of scurries over to one of his friends. And I think thought we were like really rude, but I want to be like, what are you thinking? You can't, like, we don't know you. You can't physically, I mean, you were in our personal space aside from not wearing a mask. Like he was going to physically touch you. He had a fist bump out to fist bump you to celebrate whatever Michigan alumni or sports passion that dude had for Michigan. But I don't care how great Michigan is. It's not worth catching COVID.
Even when there's not a pandemic, I don't fist bump random people wearing Michigan shirts.
You don't? Well, you shouldn't wear Michigan shirts because it just invites that sort of behavior.
I mean, I guess.
Anyways, I don't know why my best memory of that night is go blue with this dude like coming into fist bump.
It's traumatic.
Like, it was funny. It was traumatic to you. It was funny to me.
Yeah, I guess.
So anyways, point is my husband has COVID. I probably did or might have been asymptomatic. And we were very careful. At that point, we were kind of stuck on the road. We were very careful. We did not do anything. We wore a face mask everywhere. And we were as careful as we could possibly be. More careful than everybody who doesn't have COVID is being lately.
This should have been a very fun family trip. We did get to see your family. We saw the car earlier today. It's very nice.
What'd you think?
I am impressed by the moonroof.
Nice.
I will give you that. The moonroof is very cool. It's huge.
Yeah.
I did like that there was already a scuff on the white door.
Was like there was a big black scuff on the door that was not there the day before.
Yeah.
Guess what
that's
though?
What you get.
Googled it. Toothpaste will get it off.
All right. Well,
confident I can
you're
get
gonna
that
have
stuff
scuffs
off.
like once a week for the rest of your life with that car.
Yeah, it's a white car too, so it's gonna get a lot of scuffs. The other thing that was super timely, Mike, right after I got this car, which is new to me but used, so it's a 2019. It had like 16,000 miles on it. Is Mr. Money Mustache, who is, like one of my heroes and one of the first blogs I ever read in this particular space, posted this video. The name was very intriguing, and it was like his $100,000 van. And I was like, well, he surely didn't spend $100,000 on a minivan because it kind of showed like a real old minivan. It was a minivan that's like 20 years old. And his point was basically he bought this car like 10 years ago for like $5,000 or something. His point was that he has actually made $100,000 by not buying more expensive cars over the past 20 years and by the maintenance and all these other things that were like really cheap as the result of the fact that he has this really inexpensive car. Like it's in line with your 2003 Ford Explorer, right? Yep. And it's like super practical, but it's kind of a piece of, it does everything he needs. It serves the utility he needs perfectly, but it is nothing fancy, right? And I kind of was like, right when I saw it, I was like, ooh, this is what we talked about on that initial car episode of just the idea of, I am a little, I don't know what the word is, but like, I'm very aware of the fact that I am making a bit of a splurge luxury purchase with this car. And I was just kind of like, I'm impressed by him because I know he has a lot of money. I know he's made a lot of money through his blog and other things. I know he's donated a lot, but like he's doing well. He could afford a different kind of car and not be going in debt and not affecting his FIRE goals and everything else. But I applaud him at how disciplined he is. And I consider myself a very disciplined person in many ways financially, but I still do like to enjoy and kind of appreciate certain things. And I still make some decisions with my heart, as Angela Buttimer on our last episode said, instead of my head. And I kind of justify that, right? So I just was kind of impressed by his video, and it was like the opposite end of what I just made a decision to do. But I
admire him, although I make the exact opposite decisions as him.
I made the decision before I saw his video. He might have been the last ditch effort to convince me otherwise. I'm still very happy with my decision. Here's the other thing. I've said this before. I said this in our episode. Like, if this were adjusting my FIRE timeline in any way and or putting me in debt or something I couldn't afford or anything else, like I wouldn't do it. Right. And so that's my thing is like, if I certainly, there's just a line I'm willing to go that I, wouldn't do depending on what my financial situation were. And I also think, I know for me, like I often, to me, it's really important why I'm making decisions. Right. And so like we talk about like lifestyle inflation and keeping up with the Joneses and all these different things. And so for me, the reasons why I want this car, I know they're the right reasons for me. They're not to do it for someone else or to impress somebody else. They're for functional things that I care about right now and that are like improvements to my quality of life, if you will, like the moonroof. Like just having a little bit of a luxurious ride for the next 10 years or for as long as it's still considered luxurious.
It better be 10 years, Maggie. I will give you so much shit if you come up with a reason to get a new car in 5 years.
Commit that the only reason I would come up with it is I will say here now, the only reason I would change cars is if some better electric options come out. It would be an energy related decision.
I'm sure you will find some reason to buy a new car. A lot of reason.
Well, I'm just letting you know the reason now in advance, so it seems less made up later.
So listeners, mark your calendars. Episode 500 or
1,312.
Yes, we will review Maggie's next car purchase, and I will break down all the ridiculous reasons she wants to ditch this car.
I can't wait to review your next car purchase, which is really any day now. You know, it could be one day from now, or it could be like
I don't know. I'm averaging like 1 mile a month on my car now, so it's going to last a long time.
Start that thing up.
I did get a new battery in it. Anyway, enough about the car. It's very cool. I'm glad you got it. I'm glad it makes you happy.
Thanks.
You also have some more big news on the career front.
I do.
This is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
You
quit my job. I'm just kidding.
You did not quit your job, but you are moving into a part-time job.
I am.
4 days a week.
4 days a week. So it's not as part-time. It's not as, I mean, it keeps getting described as part-time. It's not as part-time as some may expect when they hear the term part-time. It is a step towards more part-time. And so it is, it's a 20% cut back. So it's a day off every week. So it's, it comes with a 20% pay cut. But I'm excited. This is something that I have wanted for a while. And that is actually very related to the idea of financial independence and financial freedom. And just it giving me some of the courage to really speak up about what was most important to me and to ask for some things that I needed and wanted. And I did that a while ago, like way pre-pandemic, had put out some of those desires into the universe. And by into the universe, I mean with HR, because that's how you put things into the universe in corporate America. You tell actual people who could someday have an impact on things like that. And so I had some pretty frank discussions about, the fact that I wanted more flexibility and that I was interested and open to something that was not full time. And also just what I wanted to do and what I was most passionate about and most wanting to invest my time and energy into. And it paid off. And it didn't pay off right away, right? It took some time. And I honestly didn't even think it was going to happen for a while with what's happening with the pandemic and just the overall economic environment. So I'm really excited that I'm, getting this opportunity and I'm excited to dig in.
And when you say pay off, it's not really paying off because you're actually taking a substantial pay decrease with this job. And I would like to applaud you on this because when people start earning a lot of money later in their careers, it is really hard to turn down any bit of money. I think lifestyle inflation is a big cause of this, but to turn down 20% of your compensation is a really big deal. Even if you don't need it, psychologically, it is super hard to turn that down. So the fact that you did it and you're happy about it takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, no, thanks. I got a lot of balls, Mike. So, but yeah, no, I am I will say there's a time in my life when I wouldn't have done this. But again, I think the way I have treated my money for, the past decade and beyond put me in a position to not be afraid to do something that I knew was a good quality of life change for me. And that, again, we were kind of joking about what part-time really is earlier, but 20%, that's still a big cut in terms of just time back in my life, right? So that's a whole day back every week. That turns my week from, a 5-day working week, which often turned into like a 6-7 day working week at times, into like a proper 4-day week. And, now I just have to get better about putting boundaries in place. And I'll tell you what, I've never been great at putting boundaries in place. And I'm a bit of a yes person. and I really like helping people, and just I'm bad at boundaries, I'll put it that way. But one way that will make me forced better at boundaries is cutting my pay. So it will make me more motivated to put some boundaries around things, because I'm like, look, I'm taking a pay cut. I'm going to be more disciplined about my time and how I spend it. I'm going to be more of an essentialist like you.
Excellent. And I think we should do an episode on boundaries, both with career and money and other aspects of life.
And we want to do an episode on designing your life, which I know you really wanted to do, Mike.
Oh yeah. Love designing your life.
And I think that is related. You actually, I should give you a little bit of credit for this too, Mike, because you recommended the book. Is it called Designing Your Life? Is that what it's called? It's by two like professors at Stanford, and it's a really good book. And you highly recommend it. You like brought me a copy and were like, this is one of my, have I ever given that back to you, by the way?
Nope.
Sorry. I will soon. But now it's got like COVID all over it. You might not want it back for a little while.
Right.
But anyways, it's a great book. And Mike had like brought it to me at some point when we had just like first became friends. And he was like, this is one of my favorite books. You got to read it. And so I read it, and many of the thoughts and principles in that book are some of the things that inspired me to be more vocal about what I wanted and really think about where my kind of superpowers are and my sweet spot of where I want to spend more of my time professionally versus where I want to spend less of my time. And I'm interested in a lot of things. I've shown I'm capable of doing a lot of things, but that also has stretched me in way too many directions over the years. And so I'm excited to kind of focus on some areas that I'm particularly passionate about, which this new job is going to let me do. So to be clear, I'm completely leaving my old team and my old job, staying at the same company, moving to a new job that is only a 4-day-a-week job. So super excited.
I am super excited for you.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Mike's just excited because he thinks my 5th day every week is going to be spent on Friends on Fire.
I know it will be.
It'll get some of it, but also I want to garden. I got all sorts of goals for my 5th day. I'm going to call it my 5th day. My 5th day goals.
So a lot of change for Maggie, and
new car, new job, got COVID running around my house.
Maybe have COVID.
Well, I don't know if I have COVID. Somebody's got COVID.
No, somebody had COVID. Yeah, that's what you told me.
Had COVID. You don't like when I say has COVID.
Right.
Had COVID.
Right.
But like you said, that means I could have it now. Who knows?
Right.
Everybody around us has COVID right now. Again, I don't say that flippantly. We are being incredibly careful and responsible. So
this was fun. Should we wrap up with the Mike's Minute on the Mic?
We should, yeah.
All right.
Do you have one?
Nope.
Let me think of one.
All right. I got a Maggie's Minute on the Mic question. It's a two-parter.
What is it? Okay.
2-part question. When will be the first week of your 4-day work week?
Well, technically it's October 1st. That's the plan date. But I think it's a little bit in flux based on how quickly we backfill my role and just some other things. But I think that's the current plan.
You are already
1st.
failing to set boundaries. Okay, October 1st. That is the first week. So second part question.
Yep.
Your first day off. You've worked Monday through Thursday, let's say. What are you going to do with your first day off?
Well, what I'm going to do with my first day off is going to be different than what I do with some other days off. But my first day off, I'm probably going to really like take it easy and treat myself. Like I'm probably going to just sleep in a little bit. I probably can't even sleep in because I'm going to be like virtual schooling it then. Ugh. You know what sucks? I love my kids, but like we're full-time virtual schooling 3 kids. And so when I wanted a 4-day work week, it was to have like a day to myself, not a day stuck at home virtual schooling kids, which is a little bit of a buzzkill on that setup. But so once I'm done getting my kids on their Zoom calls and whatever else they have to do that day, I want to just like chill out. I want to read some, just kind of catch up on things, do a little bit of like life organization. I'll probably spend that. I can't answer anything in 60 seconds. I'll probably spend that first day making some plans for goals of what I want to do with that extra day. Because I was telling my husband, I really want to be thoughtful.
So your first free day will be planning your other free days? Why can't you do that now?
And chillaxing. I want to just like, I'm going to like watch some TV. I'm going to work out. I want to have a day where I just kind of like catch my breath a little bit, And then future days, I really do have some like personal goals, like around some like hobbies that I want to pursue and some Friends on Fire stuff that I would like to do. And so there's some things like that around like gardening and Friends on Fire are like high on my list of goals. And then also just catching my breath. Like I just want to kind of slow down and have some like slower days in my life.
I look forward to it.
Okay. What would you do on your first day?
Oh, probably the same thing I do on every like Saturday or Sunday. Play some video games, exercise, do some yard work.
You play video games?
Yeah.
What video games do you play? I didn't even know this about you.
Xbox games.
Do you do this like before or after you're building your model airplanes and watching, what's that show? Game of Thrones? No. What's it called? What's the show you said you like? When it was Nerd Day and I was making fun of you, what's the show you said you like?
Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings. I get it confused with Game of Thrones.
It depends on what mood I'm in. I don't do all of these things every day.
Okay.
Anyway.
I thought you were going to say something else after that. Okay, anyways, you play video games. I got it.
Yes. So I would just probably do more of the same stuff.
Okay. Would that be exciting to you?
Yeah, sure. I like having more time off.
I'm going to let your boss know that she can cut you down to 4 days. 20% cut.
All right.
Okay. So this episode, as we adequately named it, was a little bit all over the place with just some random kind of updates and topics. We'd love your feedback if you like topics like this, or if you'd rather us stay a little bit more focused on a specific financial topic. Always love people's feedback, so just let us know. If you have been challenged or inspired by anything you heard on this episode, please rate and review the show. You can also subscribe and make sure that you never miss a new episode. We've been launching 2 episodes a week lately. We'll not, I don't know how long we'll keep that up for, but we promise at least 1 episode every Monday, and sometimes we do a bonus episode on Thursdays. If you have any thoughts or questions, we'd love to hear from you, and you can leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370, or you can hit us up on Instagram or Facebook.
And a special thanks to the Crowne Plaza Asheville for a nice weekend, except for that guy who made me uncomfortable by wanting a fist bump.
Go Blue.
Yep. Really fun weekend, and it's been fun to see you, Maggie.
Yeah, it was fun to see you from afar, and I'm glad you got to check out the new car. Hey, that rhymed. It was fun to see you from afar. I'm glad you got to check out my new car.
All right, let's wrap this up.
I did just wrap this up. That was me wrapping this up. I wish I could think of something that rhymed with up more quickly.
All right.
Okay. I know you hate this.
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to start singing Missy Elliott soon.
Nope. Let's end this episode right now.
Have a good night, Mike. It was
All
good
right,
to see
thanks.
you.
Bye, Maggie.
Peace out, Asheville. Bye, Mike.
Bye.